What is going on, everybody? I am back today because recently I did a review discussing James Wan's original Conjuring movie. And as I discussed in that video, I did a rank list a really long time ago where I talked about all of the films in the Conjuring universe. And the new Conjuring film has released recently. And I wanted to revisit some of the movies, like the ones that are really terrible, like the original Annabelle. I was like, I'm not even going to go back and waste my time with that because I just don't care enough to. I don't like the movies enough to do that. But I wanted to revisit the ones I really like. And I discussed in that video, The Conjuring 2 was at the top of my list originally. I love that movie. I think it's absolutely incredible, and I'm going to talk about it with you today. But in revisiting it this time around, I think I enjoyed the original Conjuring more, but I still respect this movie a lot. I think it's a really fantastic sequel, and that James Wan did an incredible job with it. And I'm going to discuss it a little bit with you today. The Conjuring 2 is directed by James Wan. Lorraine and Ed Warren travel to North London to help a single mother raising 4 children alone in a house plagued by malicious spirits. So, like I said, I really love this movie a lot. I don't necessarily think it is as strong as the original film. I feel like, especially a lot of the Bill Wilkins stuff, it's very horrifying, but Bill Wilkins as a character is not all that terrifying to me. I feel like this time around, this is probably the fifth or sixth time I've watched this movie. I felt the runtime a little bit more than originally. Like, I still enjoy the atmosphere and the build up, and I think the performances are all really great. But I just think the streamlined idea of the original film works a little bit better for me than this movie, but I do like it a lot, and I'm excited to tell you about it today. So, we are reintroduced in this movie to Ed and Lorraine Warren, played by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, and they get a call about a case that is going on in London, England, where Peggy, played by Frances O'Connor, is a single mom living at home with her multiple children. And something has happened at her house where her daughter has experienced something, and she is being haunted by an entity who haunting their house for some reason, and it is essentially possessing her and speaking through her, and the mother just has no idea what to do. She is much smarter than the family in the original film. When things happen, they move in next door with the neighbors. She's like taking it completely and totally seriously. But in this particular case, there are other people getting involved, skeptics that don't believe it is real. And so Ed and Lorraine show up and they have to prove to the Catholic Church that this is actually going on. So they run a series of tests. And the film is Ed and Lorraine trying to figure out, is this girl actually possessed, while simultaneously Lorraine is experiencing visions of an evil nun and her husband dying. And she is worried that if they get involved in this case, that something is going to happen to Ed. And so the film is her grappling with those things while also trying to aid this mother and her children. So, like I said, this movie is fantastic. And I'll start off what I said in the original Conjuring. What makes these movies work so well is Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. They're incredibly talented actors, and they have such amazing on screen chemistry. It's impossible not to be invested in the movie. This is no different. There's so many moments in this movie that I'm just impressed with their chemistry, the dialogue that they have with one another. I joke about Patrick Wilson in this movie feeling like he's just the perfect guy, where it's like they show him he can play guitar, he can fix anything, he can exorcise demons, but it's easy to like him because he's just a likable actor, and I think that he does a really nice job. One of my favorite scenes in this movie, not horror affiliated, it might come across as cheesy to some people, but like when he brings the guitar in and plays Elvis for the kids, where you're thinking like this is a family that's being tormented, to where even the mother has said their record player doesn't work anymore. And I think like little moments like that kind of showcase this is something happening to a real person, like in this world, obviously. And it just grounds it in reality, where it's like all the joy has been stripped from this family's life. And I think having those strong performances really aid to the emotional payoff of the movie. I like all the actors and actresses that play the family. Obviously, the actress who plays the mother and then her kids, they all do a really excellent job. It just makes it really easy, especially the young girl who gets possessed. Like, she has so many moments in this movie that are just truly horrifying. And you think about that happening to a child, and it really just kind of puts into perspective that what would you do as a parent in that particular circumstance, which makes it all the more visceral, in my opinion. And I love all the performances in this. I really love setting this movie overseas. It kind of takes the Warrens out of their normal realm of what they're used to and putting them in a new environment. They're also combating things like news networks and people coming out there trying to discredit the entire situation. And so I really love the setting of this. The James Wan does a really great job capturing atmosphere. There's still that fog that rolls in every single time, which I have to laugh at that it happens in like every single one of these movies, but it's okay because it does a really great job capturing that atmosphere. I feel like the color grading in this movie too, and the cinematography accompanies that mood and tone very, very well. The cinematography in this is also really great. A lot of excellent editing sequences, and there's great build up in this too. I love the way that James Wan will introduce like an object or something, and then later on it comes back into play where you're like, okay, I've seen this before. What's it going to do when it comes to the paranormal aspects of the film? And that's one of the most enjoyable elements of these movies as a whole, is when you get moments like that and you can sort of invest yourself completely in what's going to happen next. What creepy thing am I going to experience? There's just so many awesome moments like that. I love the incorporation of the nun in this, as we come to find out is Valak the demon. The look of her in these movies is horrifying. I feel like it's carried over throughout the series. It's kind of disappointing that the two nun movies have been such a letdown because it's such a cool looking character. I feel like there's a lot of potential for things that you could do with that, but I really love that part of the movie. Like I said, the Bill Wilkins stuff in this movie, I think the actor does a phenomenal job. There's just not much creepy to me about an old man with like big yellow eyes or whatever. Like, it's fine. I think the creepiest stuff is not necessarily when you see him, but when you're experiencing things through the eyes of a child. I think those moments are what is most effective. I like the incorporation of the crooked man in this as well, and how the demon is kind of toying with the family through this child's toy in this like nursery rhyme. There's something to me that is very effective when you use children in horror movies and like nursery rhymes and things of that nature to really convey something horrifying. I think that it's incredibly effective, and it's something that I've always enjoyed throughout, horror history, because I think there's something when you bring childlike innocence into such a horrifying scenario, it really creates an unsettling atmosphere. And that's what I like so much about The Conjuring 2. But as I said, compared to the first movie, I feel like you feel the runtime a little bit more in this one. The stuff early on especially can get a little repetitive. There's some really amazing scenes in the early parts of this movie, but I just found myself a little less invested than the first movie. I still think the filmmaking is there, the performances are there. The third act in this one in particular is really kind of bombastic and just off the rails. Like, you just don't really know what's going to happen, which is what I think makes the movie still so incredibly enjoyable. And it really goes a direction where, like, once the reveal happens of the movie, it's really great. I think James Wan kind of introduces you to this concept and toys with you for a while and then completely spins it. And that's what makes him such a talented director. He's been doing that for years. I think of Malignant and how much that shocked audiences because they weren't ready for the direction that was going to go in. And that, to me, is what makes an amazing horror director, is when you can make an audience uncomfortable or make them question things because of choices that you make. And I just really like this movie a lot. I always have a ton of fun with it, and I always look forward to rewatch. So have you seen The Conjuring 2? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. I love this movie. I don't think it's as good as the first film, but I still really enjoy it a lot. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.